If you haven't seen it, Northwood leaked a document. It's supposed to be a teaser for the new SCP coming out. All we know is this, from this one image, it's an SCP, duh, and it's Keter. But it's also from Site 17. Now, I don't know if you know your SCP lore, but there's only a couple of Keter SCPs in Site 17, and I've looked through all of them, and I'm going to tell you right now, I know what the next SCP is going to be. It's going to be the Fox Girl. I'm telling you, not only is it going to be the Fox Girl, I know for a fact that it's going to be a different variation of how Skeleton worked. Both relied on disguises, both relied on trickery, and both went for personal kills. Let me paint the picture for you. SCP-953 is a fox that can transform into other humans, but as a human, it has to have a fox feature remain, whether fox ears, fox tail. This is how they're going to get the disguise aspect from Skeleton over to the Fox Girl. She's going to be able to disguise as scientists, as D-class, as guards, but there's going to be some sort of feature to let you know, hey, that isn't a normal human. Now, what else could Skeleton do? Skeleton relied on trickery, using items to his advantage and, other stuff. But he was broken in that aspect. Being able to open doors just by picking up any keycard, or heck, throwing items off the map was insanely OP. Throwing Micro off the map, throwing the Jailbird off the map, any good SCP consumable, that was OP. But how the Fox Girl is going to work is that she is going to be able to disguise as humans, have the standard inventory that you start with depending on the character. So when she disguises as a scientist, she can pretend that she has a scientist card or, the med pack that you spawn with, but she can't pick up items. She can only pretend to have the items that an average scientist has, or an MTF cadet. She can pretend to have the Chris Vector, she can pretend to have a blue card or a radio or body armor, but she can't drop or use the items because they don't actually exist. It's a far more balanced interpretation of what Skeleton does. Now, what's her other abilities? She can trick and control people's minds. Now, I don't think they're going to actually control minds per se, but what I think she's going to do is do something that I like to call force activation. And what I mean by that is that if you have an item in your hand, you immediately are forced into doing whatever it does. Say you have a med pack in hand, you have to heal with it. If you have a gun in hand, you have to shoot it. And I think they'll also make it so that when you shoot, it'll cause friendly fire. But what's the caveat? What makes this not as broken as something like Skeleton's choke? Well, it's the control of the human. The person, even though they can't stop performing the action, they can still run away, they can still leave the area, they can still look away if they're shooting their teammates with their gun. That's what makes it balanced. Now, obviously, I compared it to the choke for Skeleton, even though those are two completely different ability phenotypes. But the reason I chose these two abilities is because Skeleton's choke had no counterplay. If you got choked, you couldn't do anything about it. And it was extremely hard to dodge. It had a really forgiving hitbox, and God forbid you had bad ping. That thing would force you right back into the choke. But with something like a psionic mind control, the Fox Girl, sure, can make you perform an action, but it can't stop you from leaving, from running away. And I think that's a lot more balanced and reasonable for a game like SCPSL. Other than that, if there were any other things that I would say of note for this character, probably putting on armor hides your characteristics. So if you're a captain or disguised as a captain, for example, and you have fox ears, if you have a helmet on, it'll hide the fox ears. I think that's only going to be the distinct thing that separates the disguises of Fox Girl from the disguises of Skeleton. Other than that, you'll probably have the same name, the same voice, but overall, this is my prediction for the next SCP. You're going to hear a lot of other takes from other YouTubers, Witch Girl, the guy that can teleport, the friendly Keter. I don't care. It's 953. They're gonna add a Fox Girl, and God, there's gonna be so much Rule 34 because I know you guys are a bunch of devil dogs. See ya!